Mary Ainsworth and attachment theory. Who was Mary Ainsworth? Born in Ohio, Mary Ainsworth moved to Canada at the age of 5. In 1939, she earned her PhD in psychology from the University of Toronto. Then Ainsworth began working with a fellow psychologist, John Bowlby, in 1950 at the Tavistock Clinic. However, Ainsworth is most famous for her 1969 study that has come to be called a strange situation, where Ainsworth and colleagues identified 3 different styles of attachment: secure, avoidant, and anxious. A strange situation was designed to quantify mother-child attachments. The experiment sought to observe separation anxiety and attachment anxiety, as well as determine the style of attachment. Essentially, a child and their caregiver were led into a room where both children would play with toys. Then the caregiver would leave the child alone in the room. After a few minutes, the parent would re-enter the room, and based on the reactions of the children, the researchers identified secure, avoidant, and anxious attachments. A 4th style of attachment, disorganized, was recognized by Main and Solomon in 1989. According to Alan Schroife, attachment is a relationship in the service of a baby's emotion regulation and exploration. It is the deep, abiding confidence a baby has in the availability and responsiveness of the caregiver. The most common style of attachment is a secure attachment. In Ainsworth's study, securely attached children show distress when their caregiver leaves and joy when their caregiver comes back. In between the caregiver leaving and coming back, the child begins to play with toys after they calm down. The child's reaction means that they trust their caregivers and others to meet their needs. They are also confident in their own ability to act autonomously. According to Berkeley College, parenting for a secure attachment has 2 themes. Firstly, providing comfort when needed, and secondly, offering freedom to explore when desired. However, not every child is lucky enough to develop a secure attachment with their caregivers. 40% of the U.S. population has an insecure attachment style. One type of insecure attachment is an avoidant attachment. Children with an avoidant attachment style show indifference to their caregiver's presence or lack thereof. They are also unlikely to show preference between their caregiver and a total stranger. Research shows that avoidant attachment results from an abusive or neglective caregiver. Children with an avoidant attachment style have learned that they cannot trust their caregivers and have to rely on their own ability to act in complete autonomy. The second type of insecure attachment is an anxious attachment. Children with an anxious attachment are generally very distressed when a caregiver leaves and are overly clingy upon their return. These behaviors typically manifest in children with poor parental availability as a sort of preemptive strike in order to take control of a parent-child interaction. These children display trust in others, but an inability or dislike of acting without parental or support from others. The last attachment style is disorganized attachment. These children demonstrate mixed behaviors regarding the caregiver's absence or return, often fluctuating between both resistance and avoidance. These behaviors typically present in children who receive inconsistent care from parents and are thus both fearful of and comforted by caregivers. These children are unable to trust their caregivers for consistently meeting their needs and aren't confident in their own ability to take care of themselves. In summary, secure attachments make up about 60% of the population, and they trust both others and themselves. There are 3 types of insecure attachments: avoidant, anxious, and disorganized, and those make up the other 40% of the United States population. Avoidant children do not trust their caregivers to rely on themselves. Anxious children are dependent on their caregivers, but don't trust themselves. And disorganized children don't trust their caregivers to meet their needs and aren't confident in their own ability to meet their needs. By identifying these attachment styles, Ainsworth has made huge strides in the way psychologists view the impacts of early childhood attachment on adult relationships. Thank you.